I'm not gonna throw away this dust because I want to keep it to make my wood filler. So I'm gonna try and collect some of it. Now I'm going to take my sawdust. I can add from these. That should be enough. And then I'm just going to take some wood glue and add it to this. And then I'll mix it up. Like a lot of glue. And this glue dries pretty much clear. So you should just see the color of the sawdust. Okay, 1 or 2 about that consistency. And now you just take it just like regular wood filler. Fill everything in. I'll do these cracks too. I'm not gonna do up against here, I'm gonna caulk that in. That would be very hard to sand, so keep that in mind. You can overfill it like that and sand it off. You can go as crazy as you want with this, filling everything in, which I might actually do. Why not? Now it's not going to be exact. It'll look better than a gap. This seam right here, let's dry it up. This whole seam here, this is going to be a little tricky to sand right in that corner. Now with some of these, once it starts to dry, you can go along and do a second coat right away. It dries pretty quick. I ended up letting this dry overnight because it just worked out that way. With this particular glue, this is a fast setting glue, so it could be an hour or 2 that you could sand this out. But you're gonna wanna check the label of whatever you're using to tell you when this will be dry. And here's a very important note about this right here when you fill all this. So as you can see, all of the wood filler, you can see it's a different color. I still have a lot more sanding to do here. If I don't sand this enough, then this is kind of what it's going to look like when you put a stain on this or just a poly. It will, even if you don't see it, you will see it when you put that stuff on. Another thing about this is make sure you don't just sand where the wood filler is, sand the entire thing nice and uniform. Because if you don't, again, just that part, since you sanded it differently, it could show a difference being lighter or darker. It might highlight it. So I'm gonna do this whole thing again with the random orbital sander with 80 grit, and then we'll go from there. And also make sure you're changing the sandpaper out enough as it becomes ineffective, wears out, and you don't want to burn anything. After a while, junky sandpaper will burn. And you know what? Make sure you wear a mask and plastic off the room if you have to, because sanding makes a mess. Here we go. Looking pretty good. Nice and smooth and even.